to introduce Mr. Dave Oakes. As an entrepreneur since 1984, Dave has started and sold 3 separate businesses in North South Carolina. You might clarify, or is that like right on the border? It said North South Carolina. Is that North and South Carolina? North and South Carolina. Thank you. Yes, sir. He began speaking professionally in March of 1996 and started Dave Oakes Seminars in 1998. Dave presents seminars and keynote speeches to about 80 groups per year. A total of over 1,800 seminars and keynote speeches to over 750 businesses and organizations. He is recognized as an expert on some of the most popular business topics, such as servant leadership, customer service, presentation skills, time management, and change. Dave's polished professional style draws the audience into the learning process from the beginning of his presentations. During keynote speeches and seminars, he helps participants find solutions to real-world management concerns. Upon completion of the seminar, trainees have the tools needed for immediate, practical application. Dave uses humor to show people that change is healthy and necessary for quality improvement. His focus is on future trends and their effect on the professional and personal lives of people in his audiences. Today's topic is willpower, the key to success. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Dave Oakes.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I want to start off by playing a 2-minute clip. Does anybody here play tennis? Not pickleball, tennis? Did anybody watch the U.S. Open?
Yes.
Did you watch Djokovic's semifinal match against that young gentleman? I want to show you 2 minutes about this interview at the very end. The video's a little slow, but the words are with it. I just want you to watch this and listen to this.
Congratulations on an amazing performance.
24.
It seems like every time we're talking to you, there's some crazy stat you're just setting in historical fashion, and there's one I got to ask you about. Today, it makes you 30-1 against players in their home slam. What is it about this environment that allows you to thrive?
First of all, again, acknowledging the crowd and the atmosphere. You guys were amazing. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate your support for both players. Look, these are kind of matches and occasions that I still thrive on. That still get me going. Inspire me to wake up every day trying to work as hard as the young guys. Grand Slams are the ones that count the most in our sport. Obviously, they're the ones that motivate me the most to be able to play my best tennis, perform my best tennis. I knew, prior to quarterfinals and semifinals, play an American player. Obviously, never easy. Gotta hold the nerves and try to be composed. In the moments that matter. Today, things were going really, really smoothly for me, and then he broke back, and it was really anybody's game in the end of the third set. Obviously, it was very loud in this place with the roof closed, but this is kind of an atmosphere that we all like to play in. So I'm really, really pleased with this victory.
You talked about hard work, Novak. This crowd loves you too. You talked about hard work. Can you give us a glimpse into what it takes in terms of your discipline to be still getting better at this age?
Well, discipline is everything. I think it's a combination of discipline, willpower, clarity of what you really want to do, what your short-term long-term goals are. I've been blessed to really play this sport for so many years, and I've achieved a lot. But I still feel I have something in my legs left. I still feel.
Okay. That's what I was talking about. I was putting this speech together, practicing this speech, and I'm sitting here watching that, and I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if I can find a tape of that. Willpower. There is. Let me say this first. Your future you, the vision for yourself, you're going to be the same in the future, except for 4 things. Now, you're going to probably want to write some of this stuff down today, because there's some aha moments that you're going to have when you listen to this. Because willpower is something we all deal with in our lives for various reasons. But there's 4 things that will shape who you are in the future. This is just the beginning. It's what you read, what you listen to, what you watch, and who you hang around. If anybody here is a teenager, I would teach that to them right now. That shapes everything that you do down the road. This is, when you get to things like this, and I've been doing this going on my 28th year, you can't, I just tell people this when I speak. This is like a parachute, right? You have to have an open mind. It's like a parachute. If it's not open, it's not going to work. And when you go to things like this, particularly you go to 3-day things or 2.5 days, you're going to learn a lot. My question is, what do you take back to the office with you? What are you going to use when you go back? Because now, right or wrong, you're going to be 3 days behind on work when you go back. You're going to be in the weeds. Some of you are going to work from your room tonight to try to catch up. And then you probably will forget everything you learned. You won't remember my name. You're going to say some bald guy was the first speaker that I heard. But what I want you to realize is this is like the grocery shopping technique. I like to tell people that. When you go to the grocery store, you don't take everything off every shelf. You take what you want, you leave the rest. Some people come for certain things. There is a book, and I'll put the title of it up here. I read this book 3 years ago. Actually listened to the book, but I'm on my 5th tour listening to this book. This guy is Charles Duhigg. It's a fantastic tape, but it talks about addiction, it talks about habits, it talks about shopping, it talks about everything that controls our life. But in chapter 5, he said something that changed the way I think. He said in chapter 5 that willpower is the key to success. Your ability to control your brain, your desires, your determination, delayed gratification. And if you get a chance, I'm going to give you 2 more books before this is over with 2. If anybody reads the 3 books I'm going to give you today and highlights them and seriously looks at them a couple times, and the next time you want a job, just call me. It's free consultation. I can almost guarantee if you do all the things I suggest, you'll probably get that job. That's how big it is. It's information. It's things you want to learn. Now think about willpower. What have you used willpower for in your life? What are some things all of us have used willpower for?
Weight loss.
Weight loss, okay. I've used that. I've gained and lost hundreds of pounds in my life. What else?
Get out of bed in the morning.
Get out of bed in the morning to come to work. Okay, what else? Anybody stop smoking in here? Did anybody used to smoke and you stopped? Did you stop, sir? Did you stop for good?
I did.
You did? How long did you smoke?
Like 15 years.
And how long's it been?
8 months.
Okay, how are you doing?
Okay.
Has it been 8 months since you've had a cigarette?
Yes.
It has been 8 months?
Yeah.
How long has it been since you've wanted one?
What, about 6 months?
Okay, that's pretty good. You did pretty good. That's pretty good. I started smoking cigarettes at the age of 18. My parents said, don't do it. Not a lot, just a half a pack a day. They said, it's hard to get over it. I said, yeah, whatever. You know, parents don't know anything, right? At the age of 38, I was living in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. I had a catering business there for years. Before I started doing this, I had a catering business up there and met a client of mine. And I had stopped smoking a lot. Did you ever stop other times, too? Bronchitis, I'm going to stop. What caused you to do it this time?
I just needed to. And this was the first time I tried cold turkey, too.
Oh, you did cold turkey? Okay, no, Cash, I did cold turkey. But I tried it so many times and had a client of mine who was, I was 38, she was 49, and she was just such an angry, mean person. And she had, and I know why though, she was frustrated. She had emphysema. Have you ever seen these folks with the oxygen thing in your nose? And boy, that hit me, man, that day. I think kind of like you. I thought, I'm hike, bike, golf, tennis, pickleball. I play all these different things, like to walk on the beach. So I said, I'm going to stop smoking. Bless you. That was a good one. I'm going to stop smoking. So I heard from a guy, and we'll talk about habits later on. I heard from a guy that somewhere it takes 21 days to break a habit. You ever heard that before? 21 days? Okay, so I'm good. I was 38. I'm a smart man. I can do this. So I went home in 28 days. I had to break this down. I had to just try to get to noon the first day. Just let me see if I can make 3 hours. You agree with that? Man, it's hard. It is an addiction, I guess. It's like any addiction that's out there. And I made it a day. That's awesome. Then I made it a week. 7 days. Man, that was hard. Then I made it 2 weeks. And then I made it 3 weeks. And I'm going to tell you something. I wanted a cigarette just as bad then as I did 3 weeks earlier. It didn't work. It just didn't work. I talked to a guy not too long ago. I said, how long has it been since you smoked? He said, I haven't had a cigarette for 5 years. I said, how long has it been since you wanted one? He said, about 30 minutes. But isn't it interesting? You use willpower to not eat or to eat correctly or to lose weight. You use willpower to stop smoking. You use willpower exercise. How many days a week are you supposed to exercise?
3.
I've heard 5. Walking? Every day, 7 days, walking. But you've got to get up and do that. But the thing I learned about willpower is this. Everybody doesn't have it all the time. It's not something that you have. You don't start something because you have willpower. You start something because you're motivated or inspired by something. Somebody might be motivated, inspired after they hear this today to try to start something again. They said the willpower is what keeps you going. And you don't always have willpower. It's not always there. If you spend a lot of time at work using your willpower to get things done that you don't like, you've got almost no willpower when you get home to stop some of the things that you want to stop. If you use a lot of it at home on certain things, you probably won't have a lot of it at work, which I think is really kind of a fascinating aspect of it. But there's different names for willpower. And there's an interesting study by the American Psychiatric Association. Willpower is a capacity to override an unwanted thought, feeling, or impulse. The ability to employ a cool cognitive system of behavior, not hot emotion, just reacting to things. And then the conscious effortful regulation of self by the self. So it's just getting determined to do what you really need to do. And it's even something like writing this keynote speech. Or it's something like starting a new seminar that I want to start. Or during COVID, before COVID, I used to do live seminars everywhere. I used to travel 3, 4, 5 days a week, different parts of the country. Then when COVID came, nothing. There was nothing till... When did things kind of start getting normal in 2020? You even remember? You blocked it out, probably November-ish. You couldn't get people to think of anything but COVID until probably November. Then I started working on a 7-month leadership program and all these different things. But I just simply have to do it. In this book that you read, there's a couple, he reports on some really interesting things. There's some studies done with young children, and they said, like 4th and 5th graders, they put them in a room at a table that had marshmallows on the table, and they said, when I walk out of the room, you're willing to have that marshmallow if you want to, you can have it, but if you wait till I come back, I'll give you another one. What percentage of the 4 to 5th graders would wait for the second one? No, about half of them ate it right away, and about half of them wanted it. They followed these children all the way through high school and found the children that had more willpower at that age did better on their SATs, had better grades, did better in school, even more so that have high IQs. It's that ability to discipline yourself. My wife, who's a psychiatric nurse, been one for 42 years, which is helpful for our marriage. But when she was in college, she would study right after the classes. Right after the classes, she would go study, and then she'd go out and have a drink or something with her friends afterwards. And she graduated magna cum laude. So you have to figure, how that works. And there's a couple interesting examples they had in the book, too. They talked about Starbucks in their heyday. I guess Starbucks is doing well now. Do you remember they were doing really well? Then Schultz left, and then they did badly, and then they came back. And does anybody ever go eat at Chick-fil-A? Do you ever notice how different that is and how you're greeted? They use that willpower concept to control your emotions when you feel like you're getting out of control with a customer, so that you can smile and be polite and vent something somewhere later, not there at the job when you have a fit. But it's a fascinating thing. So what I'm going to teach you today is about 3 or 4 different things I think are going to be helpful for you to give you that strength inside to call on the willpower when you need it. And it could be for losing weight. I bet there's a lot of folks in here have lost it, gained it, or exercise, or stopped smoking. Some of you want to start reading books again. You haven't read books in a long time, or maybe you want to listen to books. But there's different things that happen. I think you'll have some tools to do that. So the first thing I want you to take some notes on or write some things down is self-esteem. Have you ever heard of Jack Canfield? The name? What's he famous for? Chicken soup for the soul. I met this guy in 2009. Do you remember the tank The economy tanked in 2008. Remember that? Everything was going under. Well, of course, I lost my seminar business then, too. And I'm going to tell you a story at the very end of the day. But I had a chance to meet him at a cocktail party the night before he spoke. And he said something to me. This is 2009, so this is 14 years later. I've never stopped talking about this every time I speak, is self-esteem and self-confidence. He said that 2/3 of the workers in the workplace in America today suffer from low self-esteem. 2/3. He said it's not scientific. He said it's not scientific. He said it's just my experience. Do you think that's high or low? 2/3? You think that's low? Oh, we're in worse shape than I thought. I had a lady said, well, I think that's high. And I said, okay, well, what do you think it is? She said, I don't know, 50? I said, it's still half. That's half everybody you meet struggles from low self-esteem. What is it? How does it come out in the workplace? Have you ever worked with people that won't share information because knowledge is power? Or they talk about people, I know you don't do any of this, but people that talk negatively about coworkers behind their backs? You never do that. I can't believe people do it either, but they do. I had a guy a long time ago, he said, I can't remember who taught me this, but I say it all the time. I said, look, don't talk about me behind my back, okay? I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to take a swing at you. Definition of a good friend is somebody who stabs you in the front. If my fly's down, just tell me. I'm not going to ask why you were looking. Just tell me it's down. For heaven's sakes, man. I've been plugging this for 13 years. Everybody's got a list, right? Stephen Covey, anybody old enough to remember 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? You got to be a little bit older to remember that one. Remember that one? They could bring that one back. Boy, that guy had it made. Did anybody ever read that book? Listen to it? Anybody go to one of his seminars? You went to a seminar? See, this is... Now, I'm not there, of course. And he passed away tragically in a ride a bike. It was horrible. He just fell off and hit his head. But he used to charge $300 a person to go to those things in a hotel that had 300 seats. Now, how much money is that? $90,000 for one day of training, and then he would sell books and tapes out in the lobby. 7 Habits. Jack Canfield's book, when I went to see him in 2009, it was a book called 30 Success Principles. I think you can even find it. And you've got to admit, folks, when you go to training, you folks do some soft skill stuff, right? There's not a lot of new stuff out there, I'll be honest with you. There's just really not. I mean, I think this willpower speech is something that's a little bit different, but it's the guy told me one time, a focal point in your life happens. A focal point in your life happens when opportunity and preparedness finally meet. You'll hear something here, it means nothing to you, and then you hear something 3 years later and it completely makes sense. That's why I do this kind of stuff. And my thing is, I've got 4 simple things here to build your self-esteem. If you know somebody else that struggles with it, I'm telling you, I guarantee you this works if you do it. You can't do it for a while and stop. You have to continue. But the first thing I want to mention right there when I say massage the brain is you've got to find a way to either read or listen to new information and bring it in. I mean, maybe going to a seminar, that's nice, but if it's a day or two, I just don't think it's long enough. It's not going to cut it. I think you need to read something every day, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, listen to a book on tape. I listen to them now because I can do it when I'm driving. I can do it when I'm exercising. I can do it when I'm walking on the beach. Whatever you want to do, you can listen to that stuff and get some information in your brain. Norman Vincent Peale, who's probably the father of positivity, said that it takes 4 positive things going into your brain to overcome 1 negative thing you hear. And most of the news we watch on TV, except maybe one story at the very end, is negative. It's negative, and then it's on there until a new negative story comes by. And just imagine how that weighs down on people. I mean, have you ever said good morning to somebody, and your answer was, what's good about it? Well, first of all, so far you're still alive.
Yep, there you go.
My gosh. Thank God it's Friday. Really? Is it that bad? Well, get a book that you like. I'll tell you the 3 I'm giving you today. I just think they're so exciting to read. It's just going to change. It'll change your careers when you read this. It even is good for your home life. Not that there are issues. I don't want to go there. Second one is be positive. Okay, you don't need to be super fired up every day, but just be pleasant. When you say good morning to somebody, what do you want to hear? Good morning. How's everything going?
Great.
Good. Now, great's going a little far. Have you ever said, how's everything going? I'm fantastic. And it's a little over the top. Down. When I'm depressed, I hear something like that, I just want to punch him in the face. Good morning. Just be positive. Okay, if you have to sleep with a hang on your mouth to come to work with a smile on your face, do it. But look, do you realize if you don't, does anybody here not supervise people? You do not supervise anybody. Anybody? Do you realize your life at work is never easier than it is when you don't supervise people? Literally, all you have to do is come to work, do your job, stay in your lane, and go home. The minute you start supervising people, it all gets complicated. Just be pleasant, 9 to 5, then go home. If you want to buy a 6-pack of beer when you go home, kick the cat when you get there. But at work, I mean, come on, I'm right, aren't I? It's hard enough as it is. Try to be pleasant, for heaven's sakes. I mean, have you ever seen that person you work with that's so negative you avoid them when you walk down the hallway?
I had hives from a negative employee.
How many?
I had hives. Like,
You have 5? You had 5 or have 5?
Hives.
Had?
He gave me hives. I was so stressed
Oh,
out.
hives.
Hives.
Oh, you poor thing.
My boss will vouch for that.
Make yourself, listen, one guy says every day when he gets up, he writes down 3 things he's thankful for every day. Tries to make them different every day when he's eating breakfast. Not a big deal, but just trying to get the right mojo going to go to work. It's not that big a deal. Third one is, and this is kind of what he said, or what I said earlier, but you got to be careful what you hang with. If you hang with negative people, what are you going to become? Negative. If you hang with positive people, you're going to be more positive. Now, I understand at work, you do have to interact with people that you don't like, right? Or they're negative, you don't care for people, but you can still try to hang with the positive people. But the last one's the best one, I think. This one I like. Be more of a giver than a taker. There was a great commercial on Liberty Mutual Life Insurance. Has commercials on TV, standing in front of the Statue of Liberty, and there's 1 million of them on a day. I get it. But about 8 years ago, they used to have a series of commercials called Do the Right Thing. And the one I'm thinking about that really hit me was this lady was standing at the intersection and stopped a pizza guy from walking out from a bus that was coming by. And the bus stopped. The bus driver saw that. So when he stopped the bus, he got out and helped some elderly people off and helped with their luggage. There's a guy that saw that. And at the airport, where the luggage comes out, he helped a couple people off with their luggage that couldn't get off. Because you've got to be quick when it comes on that carousel. Then somebody saw that. And the next scene is him cleaning up a spill in the break room where he works. And then a lady saw that, and it was her coming out of her house to rake the leaves in her yard. She saw her elderly neighbor had leaves, so decided to help him with his leaves. Whenever you do something for somebody else without looking for anything in return, you always feel better about yourself as a person. You don't need credit for it. I don't care if you work on a Saturday for Habitat for Humanity. I've been on several mission trips with my church. The first couple I went to try to make a difference, but the last 5 I went to, because when I came back, I was a better person. I was just a better person. I was more not so selfish. You know, human beings are selfish. We're all born that way. In the movie Scrooge with Bill Murray, anybody ever see that movie? Scrooge is like Take Off on the Christmas Carol, and he's a mean television producer making everybody work on Christmas Eve. But he saw the past, present, and future. And when he came out to the TV audience on Christmas Eve, he was watching them on camera. He was so excited to be alive. I'll never forget this. I have a copy of this on my phone, just in case I use it in the seminar. But he came out and he said, I finally understand what the Christmas season is all about. He said, for a few hours a year, we finally become the people that we wish we always were. You share a little bit more, you care a little bit more, you give a little bit more. And it doesn't last for a long time sometimes, though, does it? But he said, you can have this every day if you want it. I just thought, oh my gosh, have you ever given a present to somebody and you can't wait for them to open it? You don't even care if you get one. You just want to see the look on their face. That's what happens when you become more of a giver than a taker. I've heard stories of Starbucks before where there's a line around the block because the one somebody in line decided to pay for the person behind them and caused all this confusion. This guy said, well, who paid for my meal? And he said, well, that guy did in front of you. And he said, well, how much is that guy behind me? And they just started going around the block with this. Happened at Starbucks 3 or 4 times. So this is what Canfield told me. He hates pennies, so he puts 5 pennies in his pocket. And every day, he wants to do something or say something nice for somebody, and when he does, he takes a penny out and puts it on the other side. His goal is to get one side or the other. I don't use 5, I use 3, I don't use pennies. I just have a sticky note on the steering wheel of my car. I've got a note in my phone, remember this. And just going out of your way, a compliment what somebody's wearing, open a door for somebody else. Maybe say, hey, I heard what you said at the meeting today. I didn't say it in the meeting, but I really like that, or I love those shoes. It's something like that 3 times a day. And I know you're nice, but you should try to do this 3 times a day, every day, to try to do something, say something for somebody else that makes them feel better. And I'm telling you, those 4 things right there will make all the difference to you in how you feel about yourself, how you feel about other people. And you can try it for a month and see if you like it, and you'll notice a difference, but you kind of almost always have to do it. The biggest one is number 4, I think. If you don't believe in yourself first, if you don't have the self-esteem first, you can't serve other people. You don't have the strength for willpower to do the changes you needed to change. You've got to take care of yourself first. It's amazing to me how many people that don't do anything. They don't read. I did a seminar for the American Library Association. They said last year in America, 95% of the people in America, 95% didn't read a book cover to cover any time. They read, but it's blogs, articles, Facebook pages. They said if you read 3 to 5 books a year, you're in the top 11% of the most well-read people in the United States. Isn't that something? So the only thing I ask people is if you don't come to things like this, if you don't read books, if you don't listen to stuff, where are you getting your new information from? Where's it coming? Like I said, I don't care how good you are right now, but if you're the same person a year from now you are today, you're behind in the world, totally. You have to find a way to kind of keep up. So it's reading things like this, trying new things in your life, experiment with stuff. You might try some of this stuff and not like it, but you might like it. It might make a big difference. And then something else I'll tell you right here. There's other things that drive willpower. Is your environment. If you're on a diet, where should you not go? The worst thing you could do is grocery shop when you're hungry. Isn't that right? Or you checkout. Ever seen these checkout lines with every candy bar imaginable on both sides of you? They tempt you with all these little things. Or if you're a recovering alcoholic, where should you not go probably? A liquor store or bar. Now I understand my stepson is a recovering alcoholic addict, and he's been doing a great job. It's been 2.5 years. But he eventually has to learn to be able to be around people that drink. I mean, you can't. Just like, can you be around people that smoke? Is it obnoxious to you, people that smoke?
It smells really good.
So it's not repulsive to you, right? How many people here think cigarette smoke is repulsive? See, being a former smoker, it doesn't bother me. I can be around it. I don't like the way I smell after I'm around a smoky room. But I'm not on smoker. They get so many. People are so on smokers. I feel sorry for them. Like you almost have to be in a cave 300 yards off the back door in that cave to smoke a cigarette. And what's the point? In my wife's hospital, you can't even be in the parking lot smoking a cigarette. So in other words, to take a break to smoke a cigarette, you're gone for 45 minutes. I don't understand it. And what about the psych patients? Will you allow them to have a cigarette? You want a cigarette? Please. Take a cigarette. Sleep deprivation. You believe this, I'll bet, don't you? When you're tired, you just don't have really much willpower for really anything at all. You just want to go to bed. I want to do what I want to do. Some people are depressed and they'll open a half a gallon of ice cream and start eating it to help their sorrows. Do you know how much sleep you're supposed to have? 8 hours. How many people here get 8? That's right up. How many get 7? 7? 6? Oh, that's a good number. That's pretty good. 4? 5? Anybody have young children? 0? I think 8's good, 6 is good, 7's good. I did a seminar with a sleep doctor once, and he said, and I don't know, it seems like men can nap easier than women. Is that true? My wife keeps saying she can't nap, but I can fall asleep in a chair in 5 minutes. It makes her so mad. But he said a well-placed 15-minute nap is equivalent to sitting up, not lying flat. Have you ever taken a nap laying flat? And you wake up and you don't know what day it is, where are you, I'm late for work, it's completely... He said sitting in a chair, leaning back, He said it's equivalent to about an hour and a half of sleep if you get a good 15-minute nap uninterrupted. You have a REM cycle is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. He said nobody sleeps through the night. Everybody wakes up a couple, 3 times a night when they go to bed. Have you ever you had a good night's sleep, but about every hour and a half or 2 hours you wake up, roll over, look at the time, and go back to sleep. That was the end of a REM cycle, which I thought was interesting. So you can work on the sleep, and habits is huge. I mean, that's the big one. How many days, now we talked about 21 days to make a habit. And he didn't talk about this. I heard this from an article a lady wrote. I wish I remember her name. I don't remember her name. But it made complete sense because I've heard 21 days. Has anybody heard 28 days? What did Covey say? I think he said 28. 28. 31? 31 days? Anybody hear that? I've heard 7. Do something 7 times. I heard if you do something 14 times, it'll make it a habit.
90 days.
The point of this is to do what you are having struggles with so much, you just do it automatically. It's not even a thought process. They use Michael Phelps as an example. He's one of the world's greatest gold medal winners from our country. But he would get up every morning to swim at 4:30 in the morning, and he would take a cab or ride his bike, and he hated it. But he got to the point where his alarm went off. He just got up and went to the pool. It wasn't even a thought process. You just kind of do it. That's sort of what Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, I think, wanted with their customer service, is it makes it second nature. You can do whatever you want when you leave, but here it has to be sort of a certain way. But I read that article, and listen to what this lady said. I thought it was really smart. She said it takes, now this is, you're going to want to write this down and tell somebody. It's going to make you sound smart the next party you go to. She said it takes anywhere from 14 to 291 days to break a habit. She said it depends on what you're trying to break. Are you trying to change the way you drive to work in the morning? I mean, how long could that take? Well, here you go, do this. You've probably seen this with seminars. Fold your arms. Fold your arms. And okay, this is comfortable? Is that comfortable? That's the way you do it? Okay, now unfold them and fold your arms the other way. So how long would it take you if I said, if you fold your arms the other way, you'll live 5 years longer? So you fold your arms, you go, no, wait a second, I'm going to do it the other way. How long would it take you to automatically go the other way on that one? A while. I think weeks, wouldn't it? I remember when I lived on Hilton Head, there's only 4 lanes in the island, 4 lanes off, going towards Sea Pines, and there was a water main caused a sinkhole, and it wiped out 2 lanes going south, so we would take the Cross Island Parkway forever. I cannot tell you how many times I got on my driveway, turned right, went down the road, turned right, turned left, turned right, got on the main road, and turned left towards the closed road. I can't tell you how many times I did that, so I put a sticky note on my steering wheel, no left turn. It took me about the length of the time to fix the stupid thing. Then I was used to going the long way when the road was fixed. It was crazy. But you know, we're creatures of habit, right? It's just that mental toughness to do those tough things to get ahead. Nothing is going to really be easy. Life is not easy. Life is not fair. You've got to get out there and make these kind of things happen. But there's a way to do it if you practice some of the stuff that you see on here. Planning for failure. I love that one. You are, let's say, for example, you're an alcoholic and you make it 60 days. You got the 60-day chip. You're going for the 90-day chip. 15 days in, you break down and have a couple beers. Do you give it up? Do you just give it up? And just, well, I guess I'm supposed to start drinking. No. You start on that day and you start a new streak. Everybody's going to fail. There's a diet that I've heard of that you diet for 6 days, and on the 7th day you could kind of go crazy. But back on that first day, you go back on it again. But everybody's going to fail. It's part of life. Everybody gets so freaked out about failing. I mean, and you've heard all these stories about Abraham Lincoln and his failures, and Babe Ruth and his failures, and Thomas Edison and his failures. But you keep going until you hit it just right. And then the last one is have bright lines or specific goals. Bright lines or specific goals. You have something that you really want. And this is the coolest part, I think, of this. See where it says my 100% guarantee? I'm going to tell you this now. I'm going to tell you this. And this is, I'll guarantee this 100% true. You understand what I'm saying? This is can't fail on this. Works every single time. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
If you have something in your life that you want really bad, I mean, you want it bad. Have you ever had anything like that? I'm not talking about winning the lottery. That doesn't count. I'm not even talk about having a child, because there's more science and all that kind of stuff involved. I'm talking about realistic, relevant goals in your life. If you have something in your life that you want it so bad, you think about it in the morning when you get up. You think about it at lunch. You think about it when you're at work. You think about it at least once or twice at home. You think about it on your mind before you put your head on the pillow. If you want anything that bad, and it is, you've heard of SMART goals before, right? Does anybody know what the letters stand for? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, or relevant. Relevant means it's something you want to do.
And timely.
And then, what's the T?
Timely.
It meets those 5 criteria. If you want it that bad and it's a SMART goal, there's a 100% probability that you get that. That's the coolest thing about it. The biggest problem I've seen with people is the reason why they struggle so much with this kind of stuff is they don't know where they're going. They don't have any goals. They don't have a plan. And listen, can you make it in life without any goals? This is not a trick question. Can you? Yes. I meet people all the time that have no goals. No goals. And they're making it. They eat. But the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. It's having some sort of a plan. When you want something really bad, you want it bad, that willpower thing's not as hard. You know, have you ever lost some weight, 10 pounds, and somebody said, "You've lost weight. What does that make you do? Go out and eat more or lose more?" Well, if 10 pounds is all you want to lose, then you're eating more, right? But if I got 20 to go or 15 to go, the fact that somebody's noticing motivates me, man. That's when I lost in 1997. I lost a fair amount of weight. When I lived on Hilton Head, I had if you ever been to Hilton, if anybody was on Hilton Head Island from 1992 to 2000, they might have seen me on TV there. I had a local show, Man on the Street, had a cameraman, flowered shirt, baseball cap, sunglasses, and I would go interview people on the beach. And they accused me of interviewing only women with bikinis, and that's not true. Well, I would just interview people on the beach, but my co-host was a beautiful young lady, and when I saw myself on TV, I couldn't stand it. And that was my drive. I actually took a still shot of how big I was on TV to look at it. Zig Ziglar, the late Zig Ziglar, you've heard of him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Great book of his, not one of the ones I'm going to list, but it's called See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. Great book. You can still get it in paperback on Amazon.com. But I got a screenshot. He had his wife take a picture of him in his underwear, and he put it on the bathroom mirror and the refrigerator door. And he lost 38 pounds in 10 months. By starting to exercise, he walked 2 days a week, then he walked 3 days a week. He walked a mile, then he walked 2 miles. Then he walked a mile and a couple more mailboxes. But I'm just saying, with these things, if you think about this, you have the willpower to do this. And let me tell you about success, too. Because I can't remember if I mentioned this already, but it is not the same for everybody. Success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or dream. It's not money, always. Might be a promotion. Might be to raise a family. It might be to go debt-free. But it's interesting when you have some things. I think what everybody should do is I think if you haven't made a bucket list yet, I think it's a fun thing to do if you're sitting around with somebody, is write a bucket list of things you like to do. Try for 10 things before your life is over. See how many you can come up with. Most people I talk to could only get about 3 or 5 because they've lost their dream. They had it when they were young, and then as they get older, most people in these seminars that I do, they're doing completely different than they thought about when they were in college or high school. It's completely different. But do a bucket list and see how many things on there are realistic. Usually when somebody gets 10, there's 2 or 3 on there. There's no reason why you haven't even done it yet. I had this one lady in Washington, D.C., and she said, I have them read off their list, and she said, I've never had a Philly cheesesteak before. Anybody ever had one? A real one? Have you? I said, how far are you from Philadelphia? She says, a 2-hour train ride. I said, okay. I said, who knows this woman here? Some guy raised his hand. I said, you know her well? I said, yeah. I said, okay, you are her accountability partner. I want you to make sure she sends me a picture by the end of the month eating a Philly cheesesteak somewhere. 3 weeks later, I get a picture from her, an email picture of her eating a Philly cheesesteak at the Philadelphia train station, the biggest smile on her face. is she said, it's amazing because I became obsessed with the cheese steak until she actually did it. But you see, if you don't have some sort of a plan for yourself, if you don't have goals for yourself, you don't have something that you really want to shoot for, put it on paper so that your mind can keep it straight. Because your mind can go all over the place with things, can't they? When you see it on paper. Has anybody ever made a grocery list for 4 things, you didn't write it down? And you're in the store, you've got 3 things in your cart, cannot remember what the last one is until you get back to your car. But if you wrote those 4 down on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket, you wouldn't even look at it and you would have all 4 of those things in your cart. It's amazing something about the memory that happens there. Make a to-do list, write things down, prioritize. When you prioritize things, there's 5 things you consider when you prioritize. You consider importance first. That's who it's for, how it affects your job. You prioritize deadline. When's it due? Do you agree with that? Does deadline sometimes take priority over importance? Okay. Third one is time. How long do I have and how long is it going to take? The fourth one is resources. People, computers. Have you ever had a project, you were getting ready to go on the next step and the person you needed didn't have their piece done? Don't point. And then the last one I call personal preference. That is, if you're going to make 2 people mad no matter what, just do the one you want. Have you ever had that happen before? It doesn't make a difference what decision you make. 2 people are going to be mad. So I'm just going to, why are you working on this one? Because I want to. That's why. No such thing as multitasking. I know ladies, they think they can. No one can do 2 mental things at once. Okay, you got to learn how to focus on some stuff. I think ladies are better. My wife is amazing the way she can keep a lot of different balls going at the same time with her kids and all this kind of stuff. But just doing 2 things at work on your desk, it's not possible. That's why it's hard to... have you ever talked on a phone on a serious phone call in the car? Your hand's free. But I can't even notice the traffic because I'm talking to this person on the phone. I've had to pull over on the side of the road so we don't overlap. I'm hands free. I can't do both at once. I mean, there's so much more I could talk to you about this. And then procrastination, that's the biggest one. The bad news is everybody procrastinates. The good news is it's not on everything. You procrastinate on some things and some things you don't. The one thing I'll tell you about procrastination, 2 things I'll tell you that work, is the first thing, and I learned this, can't remember who from, a long time ago. Whatever you hate to do, if it's home or it's at work, you have to admit that you hate it. Don't cover it up. I hate it. I hate it. Some people hate dishes, cooking, folding laundry, paperwork, projects, accounting. I hate it. I hate that. I just hate it. They said you've got to hate it to open it up. And the second thing is work on it in small steps to get it started. You don't need to do the whole thing. Work on it for 15 minutes. Have you ever had a project somebody gave you and they said, do you have any questions? And you said no. And you walked out of their office and you have no clue what to do next. You just didn't want to let them know you didn't know. Right? Too many laughters in here, man. So you know what I used to do? I would get a legal pad on my desk, not a computer screen, a legal pad, old-fashioned. I would just sit there for about 20 minutes with a timer at a Walmart stovetop timer, $9.95. I set the timer on it, and I would stare at the paper. Oh, you know what? I'll call this guy, but he knows something about that because I didn't want to ask my boss. At the end of 15 or 20 minutes, I had a couple things on there I could do. And then within a few days later, I had a few more things. Within about a week, I had a complete list just by focusing a little bit at a time. How do you eat an elephant? Okay, there you go. And that's it. I mean, self-esteem. Then you have to know this one right here, that you're going to fail some. You got to watch out for your environment. You have to plan for failure. You have to set some goals that you're not going to break. And heck, our water, I'm going to get this thing done. And then you go into the whole goal-setting thing and all this kind of stuff. If you add some of that together, I think the biggest thing about it all, did you hear what he said, the very last thing that Novak said? He said determination and willpower. And then what did he say? You have to clear what? What? Say it. Clear what? Goals. Clear goals. He said that. It's so simple. How do you think he does this kind of stuff? 24 majors? How many could he have made if he didn't have the vaccine thing? That one year, remember one year you got mad and hit the tennis ball and hit that lines lady in the throat and you got disqualified from the tournament? I mean, he's an amazing guy. So here's the books I want you to write down. Here's the books I want you to write down. This is a bonus for you today. I'm not kidding. Either listen to them or read them. Servant Leadership in Action by Kenneth Blanchard and Renee Broadwell. It is a book of 43 essays by some of the biggest business leaders in the country. A quarter of them are pastors because they talk about Christ as the ultimate servant leader, and they talk about servant leadership in their organization. 12 years ago, on Amazon.com, there were 8 books on servant leadership. Now there's over 5,000. This is the way. Inverting the pyramid. The leader's on the bottom and everybody else is on the top. If you ever go for a new job and they say, what's your leadership style? There's your answer right there. What's your leadership style, man? I'm a servant leader. That's going to get you in the door. Second one, Leadership and Self-Deception. It's not by a person, it's by an institute. That's the 3rd edition, the Arbinger Institute. It helps you at work, it helps you at home. You are either in the box or out of the box. You know what I'm talking about when you read it. And then, of course, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read that by now, shame on you. That's really the first one you should read. It was written in 1937, Dale Carnegie. And it's the most purchased business book in the United States of America today. Does everybody have that? I got a picture of it. I wrote it down. You good to go? Yeah. Okay, because I got to get Randy up here. Randall. Okay, listen to this video, and then I have one story to tell you after this video. Check this out. You going to do it or you want me to do it?
One clip.
Me? No, I went backwards.
We tried.
Okay. Now just listen. This is like 1 minute and 50 seconds. Do it. No sound.
You're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're doing everything right. I'm not coach right now. I'm your conscience. You're in a fight between will and skill. I say will first because that's where you are. You locked and loaded with skill. You're practicing every day. You're putting in your work. You're buying everything. You're making an investment. You're living your dream. You're walking like your dream. You're surrounding yourself around your dream. You got mentors, everything. You're putting your work in. You got your skill. Now it's a test of your will. It's a mindset thing you in right now. It's a mindset thing. Because your challenge ain't moving. Your mountain is not moving. You don't feel like you're making any progress. You're not physically moving when you see everything else around you and other people around you moving. You're not making progress. You're in the test of your will right now. Because life says it has a little more test for you. You can look at your challenge with skill, and it will see it just as that. A challenge where you can look at your challenge with will and see it as much.
I love that kind of stuff. It just is, if you ever look for something just motivational, you want something a little bit different, on YouTube, Simon Sinek, some of these people that are out there you probably heard of, just little every week, 10, 15 minute, get a leadership tip, something that's kind of motivating to you, kind of gets you going. I just want to finish with one story, something that happened to me in 2009. It was before Jack Canfield. And I'll throw this up here first if you just want my contact information. My website, daveoakseminars.com. You can get my book, just ebook for free, or you can call me. It's dave@daveoakseminars.com is my email. But he spoke to 200 seminar leaders. What did I do? What did I do? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Maestro. Maestro's a good name for me. Thank you. He had 200 people out there. I was sitting on that side of the room. I believe that winners should always sit up front, even though I was depressed. I was around motivational people. I couldn't hardly stand being around them. I mean, I lost all my business. Has anybody been depressed during the holidays? You lost all your business. Again, I lost it for the Gulf War, lost it for 2008, lost it for COVID. I got to start over again. Pivot's my favorite word. But at the end of talking for 2 hours, he pulled out his wallet And he pulled out 3 $100 bills. This is only 100. And he said, I want to give this away. Who wants this? And about 195 people put their hands in the air. I'm sitting over there like a dork on the other side, just sitting there, me. So out of the room over here, a lady popped up out of her seat. She was in about the 5th or 6th row, kind of walked briskly. And I thought she was going to the bathroom. We had been there for 2 hours. I mean, I thought she really had to go. But she took a left hand, turned to the front of the room, and started walking towards Jack Canfield, got up on the stage, and stood right next to him. He's holding the money like this, looking around. She's standing there. She comes up the stage and looks at Canfield, and then looks at the money, and looks at Canfield and looks at us. Looks at the money, looks at him, looks at the money, reaches up, pulled his arm down, took the $300 out of his hand, looked at him, looked at us, and shrugged, and walked back to his seat with the money. That's what he meant. In other words, if you want water life, what are you going to have to do? Take it. Get off your butt. Take a chance. Get out there and do it. So I have $100 right here. I want to give this away. Who wants to?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I used to have a $100 bill, but people would almost hurt themselves, so I had to break into 20s in case she wants to give some away. But this is what he said, that he walked off stage with a standing ovation. He said, there's 3 kinds of people in this room right now. Which one are you? The kind of people that make it happen? The kind of people that watch it happen? Or the people out there wondering what just happened? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Thank you.